So Sudan has been at war for much of its history, but this is the first war to break out in the capital, Khartoum. What happened is that Sudanese overthrew the longtime military dictatorship of Omar al-Bashir, who ruled Sudan for 3 decades. There was this big popular revolution. They overthrew Bashir in 2019, but it was actually Bashir's own generals who seized power then. And Bashir had basically done what's called coup proofing, which is a way of spreading military power into different competing units so that none of them can really threaten the leader itself. This ended up working out disastrously for Sudan because it meant that when the military stepped in to overthrow Bashir, they had to basically share power amid different competing units. So there was the Sudanese Army, and then there was this paramilitary rapid support forces, which Bashir had brought into the capital as something like a presidential guard. These two and others basically had to share power after Bashir fell. And then what happened is that relationship started to turn quite rivalrous, and then they fell into a power struggle in 2023, which led to this outbreak of violence in Khartoum. And then that violence spread throughout the country, with the RSF mostly hailing from the western regions of Darfur, and the Sudanese Army really with a support base mostly in the center and east of the country. The army was demanding that the RSF integrate fully into the army and essentially dissolve as a militia force. The RSF, meanwhile, wanted to maintain its power and saw itself as just as powerful as the army itself. This dispute eventually grew out of control and it led to the fighting in Khartoum. But over the course of this war now, both sides have essentially sucked in Sudanese across the country into their respective camps. And it's become an all-out battle for Sudan's future, but it also has really resurrected these decades-old grievances within Sudan, including ethnic grievances, regional grievances, long disputes over who rules Sudan, what is a Sudanese core identity. Earlier this year, the Sudanese Army recaptured the capital, Khartoum, and pushed the RSF west, mostly into the Kordofan region and then into its home base in Darfur. The RSF then has looked to reconsolidate its control in Darfur and really focused on the last army stronghold, this town of al-Fashir in North Darfur, the capital of North Darfur. The RSF just retook al-Fashir and committed many atrocities doing so, but this now has created something like a de facto partition in Sudan, with the Sudanese army controlling the center of the country and the east of the country, and RSF controlling pretty much all of Darfur and most of the west of Sudan. So now you have this east-west divide, which could sink into a long-term division of the Sudanese state. We've seen momentum ebb and flow throughout this war. So for a while, the RSF held momentum. Then for most of this year, the army had regained momentum. Now it looks like we're in a moment where the RSF has regained some momentum, but no one is really winning this war. Neither side appears to have any real path towards military victory. It's really hard to see exactly how this war will end because the positions between the two sides there remains a very vast gulf between them.